Hi guys, and welcome to another video. And if I haven't mentioned before, which I know I have in my last two videos, is I had a crash and writ off my van. Now, I've got a new van and I've done some bits to improve it. So my old van was a Volkswagen Caddy, which basically was two seats in the front, and then the cage and the storage box pretty much took up the rest of the back. Now, I've gone for a slightly bigger van this time, and I think the important thing I was trying to look for with this van is obviously in my price range. Now, vans are very expensive at the moment, and I probably had to go a little bit outside, not my price range, but probably outside the money that I thought I would need to spend in order to get a van. Now, it's a second-hand van, and I got a Vauxhall Vivaro, and it took me a few days looking around, looking at prices. I then had to add probably £2,000 on top of what I was hoping I was going to spend on it, so that's obviously impacted the spare money that I had. But I got a Vauxhall Vivaro, and the good thing about it, it's nice and clean on the outside. It was pretty clean on the inside. A lot of them that I was looking at that were second hand, they maybe had some knocks on the outside, maybe on the inside some of it was a bit knocked or marked or whatever, and I feel like I've done pretty well. So it's a Vauxhall Vivaro, it's like a 1.5 diesel engine. It's a 2019 plate, or yeah, 2019 is a 69 plate, so it's not brand new, but it's reasonably new. The one thing I did want to make sure I had on it was the AdBlue, like the ULEZ compliant. I don't live in that area, but the site that I'm on at the moment is literally right on the border, and it's the ULEZ is only 20 miles from where I am, so it's something that possibly could impact me in terms of work, etc. So I wanted to make sure that I got a van that was compliant for that. So yeah, it's a Vauxhall Vivaro. I've put some pictures up as I was talking, so that you guys can have a look at kind of the starting point that I had. And what we'll do is we'll go over to my van now, and I'll show you some of the stuff that I've done. I didn't spend a fortune, but I did spend some money on certain stuff. Depends on probably your budget to whether you feel like it's worth doing. But yeah, we'll go over to the van now, and I'll show you what I've done. So as for the back is pretty much the same as I had in the Caddy. Okay, the Vivaro is slightly bigger, but it's basically the same setup. So this box down here, I gave it a lick of paint. I gave the whole van a lick of paint, you'll see when I go in, but I gave the bottom box a lick of paint just to make it look a little bit newer, but it's pretty much the same setup. So I've got the storage box under here, so when I open up this flap, I've got some storage boxes under there, which has obviously saved a little bit of space in terms of storage. So I've got a storage box under here, and then I've got the crate. It's the same crate again. I gave it a little bit of a lick of paint, but it's pretty much the same setup on the back. On here, obviously, I keep my leads and my muzzles, and over this side you can see I've got my first aid and my fire extinguisher, etc. But other than that, it's pretty much the same setup. So that's Cooper's side, that's Ollie's side. That side's slightly smaller than this side, which is why Cooper gets the bigger side. And then this is the reason I got the Vivaro. So in terms of in here, as you can see, I've got the cage, I've got the storage box, pair of trainers. I don't know what I'm doing with my shoes at the moment, but I now have a little area. This is a beanbag chair. So this is a beanbag chair that I had before, and basically how that sets up, I'll put up a picture of my setup yesterday when I was at work. So basically the setup is that I have a little seating area. Now I only have one door open max when I'm working, so I would obviously face the open door towards the main gate, or I have the back towards the main gate and the front and the side door towards the site, etc., or the next fret. So I've got a little bit of a seating area, which I've actually quite enjoyed. So I tried to sit in the back on the first night, and then I tried to sit in the front on the second night. And on the second night, it was a little bit uncomfortable. Now, I have got some back injuries from the crash, which might have been the reason why, but I actually found sitting in the back with a beanbag chair much more supportive and much more comfortable of a shift. Now, something I did spend money on. So this is some non-slip flooring. So what I did was obviously I had the wooden base that I started off with. I gave it a lick of paint, And then I brought some of this non-slip flooring. Now I did have some of this non-slip flooring in my previous van, and I believe it cost me about 40 to 50 pounds in order to get that non-slip flooring from my last van. But because this is obviously slightly bigger, etc., it was going to cost me more in order to get it, and I was looking at maybe like 120 to 130 pounds in order to get that non-slip flooring for this van. So I actually found a place called Van Pimps, and Van Pimps were doing it for 70 pounds. Now it's not as thick as the other ones, it's not got as much cushion underneath it, but it depends on what you're looking for. So I wasn't looking for it to be cushiony, I wasn't looking for it to be thick, because the crate and the cage sit on top of it, it basically pins it down. So in terms, it's not really going to move too much. Now on the side bit as well, it's obviously clamped down, but in terms of the actual flooring, all I wanted it for was just something that is non-slip on the top, so when I put stuff on it like my Bluetti, etc., it's not going to go sliding around everywhere. But the main reason I wanted it for is that when I get in with dirty boots, or when I get in with my boots, etc., is I'm not going to start scuffing the floor, so there's not going to be loads of scuff marks everywhere. And if I do get in with wet boots or dirty boots, the non-slip flooring on the top is just going to be easily wipeable. Now something else that you might have noticed in that is that I got rid of the bulkhead. Now the bulkhead is something that I always get rid of. I don't like the bulkhead, but the main reason I got rid of the bulkhead was for airflow. So you got airflow coming from the front windows to the back if I need it. Now this one was slightly different, and I actually preferred it. This one was slightly different to my old van. So on my old van, it come in two separate parts, the left part and the right part. So I actually had to take the whole thing out. With this one, it come as a top and a bottom. So the bottom I've kept in order to stop stuff being able to slide under the seats here, but I've kept the top, so if I ever needed to, which hopefully I won't, but if I ever needed to and I was in the front and someone approached the van or attacked the van, I can jump over the seats and I'm at the escape hatch for the dog. Now also in the back here you will see some of this, which is some LED strip lighting, and I've got it going all around the van. Now this does come with a disco setting. I'll put some videos up. This does come with a disco setting. That's obviously not what I've got it for. What I've got it for is to be able to put it onto white light and give myself lighting in the back, so I'm not fumbling around in the dark, etc. It runs off a USB which I plug into my Bluetti, and it powers it. It uses next to zero power. It doesn't really affect the Bluetti in terms of like the charge, etc. To be honest, it very little power it takes in order to do that for a 12-hour shift. So I've got some of the LED strip lighting. I'll put the picture up again of my setup the other night when the lights were on, and you can see obviously it gives me some decent light in there, and it's been pretty good, to be honest. Like, I've much preferred it. I managed to even do a bit of my video this week for the weekend that I've done. I managed to do a bit of the video whilst just sitting in there with that stuff on. So normally I can't film in the van late at night without getting my torch out or getting my one of my other lights out. So it's been pretty good, and like I say, it's been quite nice to be able to sit in the back of my van and have that light on and be able to see what I'm doing, read. Like, I needed to read some of the manual stuff for the van. I was able just to sit there and read that. So that strip light has been pretty good. It only cost me like 10 quid for 10 meters, I think it was. So I think that's been quite a good investment. Now going into the front, it's a pretty standard setup for a van. It's not got loads of mod cons, but it's pretty standard. It's got everything kind of that I need, to be honest. One of the only things I did, again, I got the non-slip flooring mat for the front. Now I got that off of a website called vanmats.co.uk, and they're pretty good. So that cost me 40 quid. Now you might think, oh, that sounds expensive, that sounds like a waste of money, etc. But that come pre-cut. I didn't have to pre-cut that. The £70 that I had to pay for the rear part, I had to buy 3 meters by 2 meters, and that cost me like 70 quid for 3 meters by 2 meters. But that just come as a sheet, and then I had to cut it myself. I've got some offcuts that I'm going to use for if I want to make some non-slip flooring out of something. I've got some offcuts in order to do some extra bits and pieces and that. But with that front bit, I just paid the £40 to get the pre-cut. Now they do, I hate saying that, but they do pre-cut for rears of vans. They unfortunately didn't do it for my van. They've done it for the long wheelbase, but not the short, well, not the standard wheelbase. But I would have paid the £100 to get a pre-cut one for the back and have no wastage, etc. Thankfully, my dad's pretty handy, and he managed to do like the cut and cut around some stuff and things like that. And like the dog's beds in the back, I'll show you them now. So in the back here, this is some of the old flooring that I reused to make some sort of dog mats, some like bowl mats. This again is some of the old, so you can see how that's a lot thicker than, I'm not going to be able to get this up, am I? So you can see, like, this is the newer stuff that was only like £70 for the big sheet. You can see that's quite thin, where you can see where this is a lot thicker and it's got the sort of the non-slip underneath. But I used some of the offcuts obviously to make like a couple of the dogs' beds, so they had a bit more of a proper cut out bed, non-slip flooring for the dogs. So I would have spent the £100 on getting the back one as well as a pre-cut, so they obviously have the measurements for the van, etc., and they pre-cut it. So I got that front one for like 40 quid. I think that's a decent investment, decently made. It's thicker, it's more towards the thicker style that I showed you for the dogs mats. Coop, you are winding me right up. So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. So obviously I got a liquor paint, so it cost me about £30 for the liquor paint. The box and the cage obviously I already had. The flooring for the back was £70 for 2 metres by 3 metres that I've cut in. Like I say, I've got some offcuts and different things like that. The front part was 40 quid. The top, the lighting that I've got in here cost me about a tenner for sort of 10 metres. What I'll do is, if I can think of anything else, I'll add it up. There's only one more thing I think I need to show you, and it was something that was quite important to me.
Bentley.
eBay. Now the wheels were quite important to me. So as you can see in the photos, when I got this van, the wheels were ugly. They were properly ugly, and that was not the one thing that disappointed me, but when I was getting the van, I was really happy with everything else apart from the wheels. The wheels really, not disappointed, but I didn't feel great about them. So it was really important for me personally, as probably a bit of an ego thing or what, I don't know, but I just wanted to have some nicer wheels. And yes, they're just hubcaps, but I feel like they make such a difference to the van. And they only cost me like 25 quid off eBay, and they come with some stickers that Vauxhall, but you can probably, if you buy Renault ones, they'll probably just stick a Renault sticker in there. But yeah, those like 25 quid off eBay, and I think they really make a big difference to the van. Like I say, that was one of the more important things when I first got the van. I was like, right, whatever happens inside or whatever, I must get some hubcaps for this van that make the van look a little bit better. So like I say, that was like 25 quid. I feel like they complete the van quite well. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. What I'll do is I'll put something here, is I'll sort of tally it up, because to be honest, you know, I haven't really tallied it up, all the stuff that I've bought for the van. But I feel like I've improved it quite nicely. I feel like the van is kind of an improvement on my last one. Now, it was obviously sad the way in which I lost my last van. At some point I was possibly going to upgrade the van for a bigger van anyway. It's kind of just been forced upon me. Could I really afford to do it right now? Not really. I'm saving for a wedding next year. But when this kind of happened, it kind of forced my hand that I had to do it now. So I am happy with how the van's turned out. I'm really happy with that little section with like the seating area, and that I feel that that's made a difference to me. I said in one of my previous videos is that over sort of the last 2 years of having that other van, it's made me realise some of the stuff that I want, i.e. a seating area, i.e. Some lighting, etc. So I've been able to get that into this new van, but I feel like it's turned out pretty well. So guys, if you've got any comments, make sure you put them in the comment section below. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Subscribe down below for loads more videos. And that's for now. I'll see you again next time. Cheers for watching. See you later. Bye.
feel me?